All right, so this software is going to be a little bit different than Microsoft Word because we're actually going to navigate to it via the internet, via our browser. So in this case, let me get rid of that. In this case, you can just navigate to it via, your search bar, but on the internet. So I'm not using this search bar anymore. I'm using my internet one. So remember, that's Google Chrome. Maybe you're using Safari, maybe Firefox, or maybe Microsoft Edge. If you're, keeping it real vintage, maybe you're using Internet Explorer. I don't even think they make changes to that one anymore. But yeah, let's see. So I'm gonna look up Google Docs. Whoops, Google Docs logo. So I was searching for that before. That's how I actually got the image on our slides there. But yeah, here we go, Google Docs. So let me click on this link and it takes me to my Google Docs page. And I already have a bunch of Google Docs. Now there is one requirement to using Google Docs is that you create a Google account. So you have to have a Gmail account first. So Gmail. And here you can click on the first link. You can put Gmail, create an account. You can create an account here, right? I'm already signed in, so it's going to take me to my current account. But if you don't have a Gmail account, make sure to create one. I'll put a link in this week's module on how to create one. We're going to take a deeper dive on email software later on. But because we use Word so much for a lot of our assignments, I thought it was kind of important we cover that one first. It's difficult, right, to find the best order for some of our lessons because we use the internet for everything, but we also need to, use word processing software for a lot of the assignments. Oh, but for some of them, we need to use email, right? So it can be difficult to know everything beforehand in order because every software, right, kind of works together. But for now, if you're still uncomfortable with the internet, if you're still uncomfortable with Gmail, you can always reach out to me and I can help you get set up. So yeah, make sure you have a Gmail account. I think most of us in the class, most people have Gmail these days. So as long as you're signed into your Gmail, if you're not, you can sign into your existing Gmail. Again, if you already have one, you're gonna have to create one. All right. So what if I want to create a document? So I'm just gonna click here on blank document, and then there you go. Um, Same as before, there are templates. So letter, resume, so forth. And let me pull this over here. But for the most part, right, if you're creating a new professional document, the blank document's the best place to start. So I'm actually going to copy all of the text here from this document. Get rid of all those extra pages. But I'm not going to grab all the formatting, and I'm going to show you how to do that. If you right click before you paste, there's paste without formatting. So it's not going to take any of the previous styles. It's going to give us a nice blank slate. So I have my first paragraph, my second paragraph, and my title of my document. So let's make this big again. I'm going to make this 24. Let's make this a little bit bigger, 18, 18. And notice not so many menus as before. Uh, Google Docs keeps it really simple, right? So we do have a lot of the same tabs here, but we're not overwhelmed with like a million icons. And even when you click on these, it's going to open a little menu. It's not going to change this toolbar here, which is really, really nice for us beginner users. For title of my document, let's center that. So I'm going to go here and hit center align. Notice this icon here. Again, if there's any menu you're like super unfamiliar with, don't know how to find, for example, I can look up center. So that doesn't come up. So let's put align. Or let's just put align. There it is. Left align text, right align text. Maybe it didn't show up because center. Oh, there we go. It was already centered, so it wouldn't show up. So yeah, any setting you want, you could always use the search bar on the software to find it. So there's really no excuse for like, oh, I didn't know how to do this thing. I didn't know how to find it. Of course, you can always reach out to me for help. But for the most part, you can actually find it through the search bar. Again, a little clue for our assignment here, page color. I'm not going to say more than that. But here, so we got title of our document. I center aligned it. Let's keep them there for now. Let's justify these. So make it look nice and blocky. Nice and blocky. Okay. All right, so we got that down so far. Maybe I change the color of these. I don't know, to like a dark gray. Typically wouldn't do this, but just for the example, the sake of this demo, let's go dark blue here. All right, so we got our different font colors, right? I know exactly where to go, right? Because I've used this software. Again, if you don't know what something does, hover over it. Best way to find out. Or if you want to find it, look up text color. There you go. Bunch of text color there. All right, so let's see. Let's change the font style. I don't like this one. Let's go with Roboto. That one looks better for me. Okay, so we got that down. Um, Something really useful is the line spacing. I know I didn't show you that in Microsoft Word, but again, I really, really want you guys to be using Google Docs over Microsoft Word. The spacing on Microsoft Word is pretty similar. Here we have the spacing 1.15, 1.5, so forth. So spacing is like how much space is there in between each line of text. So single, if you're doing a professional document. If you just want to make it look nice, maybe go with this one. If you're working on certain formats, also professional ones, you might go with double. Double is typically a little bit easier to read, especially for really long documents. All right, so we got that down. Let's see. What's next? So we changed the font style. Let's go ahead and change the page margins. So page margins is a little bit different on Google Docs. You're going to go to File, Page Setup. Again, if you don't know where it's at, you go Margins. And there you go, Page Setup comes up. And here's where you can change the margins. Maybe you want, you know, extra margins. You hit OK. I don't like that. It's too narrow, or, you know, um, the text is too narrow. The margins are too big. So you can always undo, redo. Microsoft Word has those settings as well, the undo, redo. So here's the undo, here's the redo. There are text shortcuts for that, which we'll talk about. Sorry, not text, keyboard shortcuts for that, which we'll talk about later on. All right, so title of my document, first paragraph, second paragraph. I changed the page margins. Let's insert an image. So again, we'll look up a different vegetable this time. Let's look up, I don't know, artichoke. Images. Again, usually if you want the full size image, make sure you click on it first. And then make sure you not use the preview here on the left, but use the full size image here on the right. And I hit copy. Yeah, especially when we get to slideshows, blurry images will make you lose points. So again, if you want to keep the same shape for the picture, make sure you resize using these corners. So I click and hold. And to paste it right, you can just paste it like that. Right click and paste. Again, I'll show you all the keyboard shortcuts later on. But yeah, that's let's align this to the center. There we go. So I inserted an image. Let's go ahead and insert a link. So again, I'm gonna grab the class homepage link. Here we go. So this is the original link. Remember, it's not a good idea to paste it just like that. It's better to embed the link in some text. So I can right click here and then you should be able to find insert link. There's also a link button up here. You could also find here the link. And then here I'm going to right click and hit paste. Apply. And now when I click on this link, it'll take me to the class homepage. So really useful thing to know for pretty much any document, right? Lots of documents these days, you want to direct the user somewhere. That's where you would use a link. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue. So that was inserting a link. Let's go ahead and add the headings. So here it's actually, I think it's more user-friendly as well. You know, all the features feel more user-friendly in Google Docs. But here, when I apply the title, of course, it changes the style. I like that when I apply this title on Google Docs, it gives me a quick update title to match. So I'm not gonna go over it on Word, right? Because again, I want you to use Google Docs more than anything. Hit update title to match, and now it's gonna give this title of my document as the title of my document, right? So I'm just gonna call it my document, for example. And there's the title. Same for these headers. If I don't want to change the header style, I can just hit the update. And now they still make it on my whoops, on my table of contents here, on my outline navigation pane, whatever the software calls it, right? I just call it table of contents. Maybe you have a subheading, part 1. This is way too small. Bravado. Let's go 14. Let's go update heading 2. And so again, now if you want to navigate to the first paragraph, part 1, let's say second paragraph is a few pages down. It's really easy to navigate to it using this navigation pane, this table of contents. If you don't see it, just know you just click on these outline tab here, and there you go. You can go to the different sections. All right, so how do I download this file? We're just going to go File. You're going to scroll over to Download. Now, something I saw a lot of beginner users do is they would move their mouse to other parts of the menu and be like, oh, I can't download it. I can't download it. Well, you got to move your mouse over this download button before you get to this menu. So usually when I go to the download, I'll kind of aim for this little arrow and then move on to this menu. Now it won't disappear. So remember, docx, PDF. I shouldn't be seeing other formats. I still do though, to be honest. Students kind of just forget. I don't know what's going on, or maybe they're using a weird software. I don't know. But PDF, docx, that's all I should see for these text documents. I'm gonna go docx to allow the user to edit it. I'm gonna name it my document, or let's do example doc for Google Docs. This is gonna go to whatever folder you had saved last. A lot of times it'll go downloads. I'm gonna save it in documents because remember that's kind of a nice place to save these text documents. So I hit save. If you're on Google Chrome, we're gonna cover this in detail, but there's this little downloads button, and you can actually go directly to where that file is saved. But we're gonna save that for the, the Google part. But once you download it, I remember it's in documents, so I just have to go to my file explorer, which we're going to take a deep dive in just a second. Here I can see example doc for Google Docs, and I can open it in Microsoft Word. So this is the one I created in Google Docs. But remember, because it's docx, specifically docx, it's compatible across different software, so it looks identical, which is really useful, right? If I'm on a different computer, or maybe at work we only use Microsoft. I had a computer actually in my previous job where I could not access Google Docs. It was not allowed. So maybe I save it on my Google Docs on one computer, but in my other computer I can still open it on Microsoft Word. So I have my 2 documents there. Now, this is the cool thing about Google Docs. So I actually never hit the save button and it automatically saved. Let's give this a name because right now it's untitled. Once I click on the untitled part, it's going to just go with that first line of text for the name. So now I have a name for that document. I could definitely give it a different name, example doc. Now, there are other ways to share this. So maybe I don't want to download it. Maybe I just want people to see the document, which is actually how I do it for a lot of the assignments in this class. So I'll show you. The lab 1. The way I actually share this with you is via a link. So how do I generate these links to share these documents with you? It's quite simple. All you have to do is go to this share button on the top right. So right now this document is not shared with anybody. Only I can see it. There's a couple ways to do this. You can type in someone's email. So I'm going to type in, let's see, Vitus w@laccd.edu. So I can share it directly with someone and I can give them different levels of access. So by clicking on this little drop down, I go with editor. I could give them viewer, so that means they can't edit, they can only see it. Editor means, of course, they can edit and make changes. Commenter is a little bit more than viewer, so they can view it, but they can also write comments on the document, which I'm not going to show you quite yet. We'll definitely cover this maybe in a later lesson throughout the class, but not the most crucial feature, right? So we have viewer, editor, commenter, and you can write a little message. I actually don't share my documents like that because I would have to type in every single person's email in the class, right? Which is not really convenient. The best way I think to share most documents, as long as you're not worried about, you know, maybe it's private information, then you wouldn't use this way. But if it's kind of just something you want to share and you're not worried about, the wrong person seeing it, you go with anyone with the link. So I click on this general access section where it says restricted. I click on that drop down and then I click on anyone with the link. And so now I can say, hey, anyone with the link can view, comment, or edit. For the most part, for pretty much every assignment, it's just viewer. I don't want you guys going in and changing the document for everybody else, right? And messing it up. So I leave it as view only. And then you can do copy link. So that link now, if I paste it on my browser, it takes me directly there. If I put it in a Word document, let's go back to Word for a second. Let's open up the one we made on Word, which was example doc. So I'm gonna make I'm gonna say example doc in Google Docs. So I'm on Word right now. I copied the link. Remember, you can right click and then go to link. And then if I paste it here, okay. So now when I click on this link, it'll take me to that document. And because I set the share settings to be anyone with the link, it actually changes that lock icon. Before, it was a little lock. When you do it as anyone with the link, it actually changes the icon to a little globe, meaning anyone around the world can just click on the link and open it. That's why you don't want to really share sensitive information that way. If it's sensitive, then definitely go with the individual email method. But yeah, that's how you can share a file. And the cool thing about those links is I can still go in and change the file, and that link's going to stay the same, which is kind of a sneaky way to get around deadlines. I've definitely had presentations do where I was like, hey, if I send them the link, maybe I still need to make some changes. They're definitely not going to grade it right away. I'm going to give them the link and then I'm going to go in and make changes to the document so that I get as many points as possible. Even though the changes I made were past the deadline, I still submitted the link on time. And the link is still going to refresh, right, with all the new changes. And this is one of the really cool features of cloud software of Google Docs is if you go to File and then you go to Version History and see Version History, I can see all the changes I made to this document. Every single change before the artichoke and post artichoke. When I first made the document, when it was empty, all the way to the latest version. So yeah, very, very useful, right? Especially if you're collaborating with other people. If you put the edit axis, notice I have two cursors here. That's because I have two of me on the same document. So you can actually have multiple people work on the same document. Really, really useful for teamwork, team essays. Definitely you're going to want to go with Google Docs. Technically, this is possible with Word. Again, I don't recommend it. I think Google Docs just does it so much better. All right, so that's Google Docs. Everything is synced up. I don't have to hit the save button. If I do want to share the file, I could download it, or I could go with the good old share button and share a link instead. So that's it for this demo. Again, if you have any questions, anything you're worried about, oh, you really wanted to learn something, on this software, you can always reach out and I'd be happy to show you. So yeah, that's it. Next up is going to be file management, right? So now that we've downloaded these files, let's actually get more familiar with how to manage them on our computers.